Coming up on Spartan Sports Report, the women's soccer team looked to break the Sweet 16 curse. Men's basketball headed to the Big Apple for a highly anticipated ranked matchup, and women's basketball looked to remain undefeated at home.
Hello and welcome into the Spartan Newsroom for a brand new episode of Spartan Sports Report. I'm Maddie Groff.
And I'm Fatima Correa Morales. Maddie, between basketball in full swing and the football team wrapping up its season, this past week has been full of MSU athletics.
It absolutely has. And the women's soccer team is rolling through the NCAA tournament, which is where we are going to begin into Martin Stadium. The number 2 seeded women's soccer team played host for the second round of the NCAA tournament when it welcomed 7th seeded Wake Forest Demon Deacons on Thursday night. Looking to make their third straight Sweet 16, the Spartans came out firing. Only 3 minutes into the game, Emerson Sargent hit the post on this attempt. Later in the first half, Sargent sends in a cross that is redirected by Kayla Briggs but saved. This would not be her only chance, however, as in the 68th minute, Briggs fired this right-footed shot into the top corner, putting the green and white up 1-0, a lead that held up until the clock hit 0. Propelled by a strong defensive performance, the Spartans moved on to the next round, where they would face the number 3 seed Colorado Buffaloes. MSU was looking to make its deepest run in the NCAA tournament in program history, and it wouldn't take long. The green and white got off on the board with a strike off the boot of midfielder Bella Najera just 46 seconds in. But late in the first half, the Buffaloes would find the back of the net, coming off the foot of Faith Leba, leveling the score 1-1. Midway through the second half, forward Kennedy Bell would get loose for a breakaway, leading to a foul at the top of the box and a penalty kick for MSU. It would be put on the foot of Najera, looking for her second goal on the day, putting this one away for a Spartan lead. Spartans' dream season will continue, advancing to the Elite 8 for the first time. Head coach Jeff Hostler was thrilled to achieve this milestone for the 2025 season.
I think this round there's still a lot of teams playing, obviously. Your focus will become so much more narrow in a lot of ways because it's just about you and your opponent, not what else is going on. It doesn't, no other results today or tomorrow other than the Stanford BYU game affect us in any way. And so that's what we keep in mind in our group. What has gotten here is being in the process and being the best we can every day.
The women's soccer team will hit the road for the first time in 2 weeks as it heads out to California to face the number 1 seed Stanford Cardinal on Friday at 5 p.m. to decide who will punch their ticket to the College Cup semifinal in Kansas City.
MSU women's volleyball took on number 24 ranked Penn State Nittany Lions last Friday in University Park, Pennsylvania. The Spartans struggled at the beginning with Penn State sweeping the first 2 sets. Michigan State looked to make a comeback in the third set, leveling the score 12 times. Junior outside hitter Carolina Stanchevska would lead the team with 12 kills overall. The Spartans' effort wouldn't be enough at the end as they would lose the third set 23-25, losing the match 3-0. Coming off its loss, MSU traveled to Columbus, Ohio on Sunday to battle against Ohio State. The Spartans fought hard, stealing the second set and pushing the third into extra points. Junior middle blocker Zuzana Kulig had 6 blocks, 3 aces, but overall, the Buckeyes took the match in 4 sets. MSU returns home Wednesday to host number 14 USC at the Breslin Center.
In search of snapping a 7-game losing streak, the Michigan State football team traveled to Iowa City in a Big Ten matchup against the Iowa Hawkeyes. The Spartans trailed going into the half 7-3, but a 2-touchdown third quarter from redshirt junior wide receiver Krishawn McCray would put Michigan State on top 17-7. However, a 13-point fourth quarter by the Hawkeyes, capped off by a field goal as time expired, pushed them to a 20-17 victory over MSU. Michigan State finishes its season at Ford Field, taking on Maryland this Saturday.
The number 17 Michigan State men's basketball traveled to Madison Square Garden for the first Champion Classic against number 12 ranked Kentucky on Tuesday. To everyone's surprise, the Spartans came out hot, shooting 50% from beyond the arc, draining 11 three-pointers. Leading the green and white was senior forward Jackson Kohler, who scored a season high of 20 points. Aside from Kohler's, MSU most valuable player was redshirt sophomore guard Jeremy Fears Jr. Fears finished with 8 points, 6 rebounds, and a career high of 13 assists on an astonishing 2 turnovers. MSU played its most complete game of the season, blowing out the Wildcats 83-66. After the massive victory, Michigan State returned to the Breslin to face off against the Detroit Mercy Titans. The green and white dominated from the tip with an on-1 finish from Cohen Carr and 3-pointers, propelling them to an immediate 10-0 start. Cam Warner was getting it done low early, recording 5 points and 7 rebounds in the first half, highlighted by this free throw push to MSU 41-25 leading break into the starting the second quarter. Carson Cooper had this tap in and one push to the lead to 20. Halfway through the frame, Kerr Ting would force a Titan turnover, pushing the ball upwards towards Fears and setting it up for this Cohen Clam scar. Fears once again dished the ball out as it came off the screen from Cooper before finding the big fella for this polarizing finish. The Spartans would put the nail in the coffin as Ward found Nick Sanders, who nailed the 3, finish out the game 84-56 in favor of the green and white. Izzo praised Fears after the game.
12 shots is probably a little more than normal for him, but 90% of them were good. So I was impressed with Jeremy Fears, and he's rounding into the point guard I thought he could be and would be and should be.
The newly ranked number 11 Spartans scored their season high with 84 points and will travel to the Sunshine State to play in the Fort Myers tip-off, facing East Carolina today at 1 p.m.
Number 1, MSU men's hockey hosted number 7 Wisconsin for a Big Ten matchup at Munn Ice Arena this past weekend. Michigan State coming off back-to-back conference sweeps, looking to remain undefeated in Big Ten play. The green and white getting things going early in Game 1 with this shot by Daniel Russell, netted right under the stick of Badger goaltender Eli Pulver. An interference penalty called on Wisconsin, making way for a Spartan power play, and Porter Martone capitalizing on the left side, putting MSU up 2-0. The second period held a much different narrative for the green and white. The Badgers went to score 4 unanswered goals, putting MSU down 4-2 heading into the third. The Spartans not going down without a fight, Riker Lee hitting this deflection goal, ending their scoring drought. But the Badgers were quick to answer, Ryan Botterill netting this rebound shot, putting Wisconsin's lead back at 2. After more back and forth, Martone finding his second goal of the night head on with 10 minutes remaining in the third period. Despite the efforts, MSU could not complete the comeback, suffering its first conference loss of the season, 5-4. The Spartans searching to get things back on track and avoid the sweep in Game 2. MSU trying to jump out on top early with this feed to the front of the net by Charlie Stramel. The video review looked convincing, but it was a no goal after an official review. The Badgers taking to the power play halfway through the second period, and Blake Montgomery sends this shot bar down for Badgers' 1-0 lead. Wisconsin eyeing the sweep, but the Spartans with an extra man. Martone picking up this slot feed by Lee, tapping in the tying goal with just 39.8 seconds left on the clock, erupting Mount Munn. But extra hockey was needed to decide this one. Kristen Fitzgerald throwing this puck to the front of the net, and Ben Dexheimer Superman diving to poke this one past Trey Augustine, icing the game 2-1 and securing the sweep over the Spartans. Martone and head coach Adam Nightingale commended Wisconsin for its level of play throughout the series.
I think we played a really good hockey team over there. I give Wisconsin a ton of credit. They play a hard game. I think, pro-style hockey game. And, last night I think we just kind of let the second period get away from us. I did like our first and third, and then tonight I honestly liked our whole game.
You got to give them credit. I think this is why we want to play teams like this, right? Our guys dream about being like a high-level player. You got to play real hockey. It's not just go up and down the sheet. Like this is a really good test, and I know our group will grow from this, and that's what this is all about.
Michigan State dropped to number 3 in the USCHO hockey poll and will stay home to host Colgate this Wednesday and Friday at Munn.
The Michigan State men's tennis team continued in the NCAA individual championships down in Orlando, Florida. Both senior Ozan Barish and sophomore Matthew Forbes made it to the Sweet 16, securing All-American honors. However, it was only Barish made it to the quarterfinals, falling in 3 sets to Columbia's Michael Zhang. This marks the end of the fall season for the green and white, and they'll return to the courts in mid-January.
The Michigan State men's wrestling team traveled to Philadelphia to participate in the 29th Keystone Classic on Sunday. 10 Spartans were on the podium, including a first-place title at 197 pounds from redshirt junior Cale Whistler. Whistler was one of 2 Spartans to reach the finals, the other being heavyweight redshirt sophomore Max Venadia, who ended his day in 2nd place. The Spartans will have a near 2-week break until they are back in dual action on Friday, December 5th at Gardner-Webb.
The Michigan State women's basketball team took on Eastern Illinois Panthers this past Thursday. The number 22 ranked Spartans look for their 5th straight win, defeating their opponents this season in dominant fashion with a 50-point margin. It was a Kennedy Blair show, with the guard grabbing this rebound from an Isa Lynn Alexander miss and putting it up for 2. She ended the night with a career high of 15 rebounds to end the first quarter. Senior guard Jalen Brown crashed in the 3 to put Spartans up 20-13. Grace Van Sluten takes this one away and dishes it off to senior forward Myra Dykstra for her first points of the night. But it would be Julian Woodard catching fire in the 3rd by hitting this 3, tying her career high of 17 points. The Spartans took the game 101-53, recording their 5th straight victory. Coming off that dominant win, women's basketball finished up its week at home against Woodland Golden Grizzlies. The Spartans took off slow but got their engines going after the steal from the rush Unda Jones, followed by a Theron Halleck 3-shot point. But Blair had an incredible first quarter, dominating the paint with 11 points in the opening 10 minutes, accounting for half of the team's first quarter scoring. The Spartans would end the first half with a 16-2 scoring run, highlighted by this shot from the top of the arc from Woodard. Blair continued to dominate the Golden Grizzlies and capped off her night as strong as she started, exiting the game with a 3rd quarter with a career high of 25 points. This 3-pointer late in the 4th quarter from Abby Kimball would propel the Spartans to the century mark for the 3rd time this season, finishing the game 102-41. Coming off Blair's career night, coach Robin Frelick had nothing but nice things to say about her guard's stellar work ethic.
One of my favorite things about coaching Kennedy is that she just wants to win. She doesn't care how. I mean, if it's assists, if it's rebounds, if it's getting stops, scoring. For me, she's just trying to make the right basketball play. You know, I think when you worry about the right things, you get the right results. And Kennedy's someone who's just trying to win.
Women's basketball is going to get tropical later this week, traveling to the Bahamas to play in the Baha Mar Hoops Nassau Championship. Its first match is against the Temple Owls this Friday at 6:30 p.m.
Thank you for tuning into this week's episode of Spartan Sports Report.
For more content, make sure to check out all of our social medias below, as well as Spartan's Newsroom website. I'm Fatima Correa Morales.
And I'm Maddie Groff. We will see you next week for the final show of the semester.